Tuesday. So very excited to announce starting Tuesday next week. Tuesday is going to be customer day where we're going to try and bring in a customer every Tuesday for you. But today, as we kind of just made this decision late in the week last week, we're going to talk about sales funnel automation. How do you automate pieces of your sales funnel to free up more time to do other things? To the HPLS podcast. Live, relevant, and high performance information, conversations, and education weekly. So, DJ, we are going to have to do another session on this, mainly because for everyone that's watching and listening, we had a special guest today, Keegan Otter, who is really a funnel automation expert, like a sales sequence automation expert. And my bad, I'm just actually looking back through the Slack messages. He asked if it was 8:30 to 9:30 Central. And for some reason I said yes. So it was one of those things where you're kind of blind and you say yes, thinking, I saw the 8 and the 9. And I was like, yeah, no problem. 8, which is 9 my time. And so, Keegan, if you're watching or listening, brother, I do apologize. But the show must go on at 9 o'clock live. That is the deal DJ and I made with each other. So we all pulled an audible in the back end again at literally That's 9 o'clock. So it really, this strategy, this style, I started thinking probably 7-8 years ago, DJ, where I said, how can I, like my ADD theory, right? We've talked about that a few times where it's automate, delegate, delete. Yeah. I love the fact, so, and this is probably going to sound really weird, but I love not having to think, right? And does that make sense to you? Because some people, it's like, what?
I mean, that's why they say a lot of successful people wear the same clothes, so they don't have to think.
Yeah. Well, I guess make decisions for things that don't really matter, right? Correct. It was one of the big strategies behind the sales system that I put together in a banker's box, and every lead gets its own folder. And if I unqualify them from my sequence, I just, I write the name on the folder in pencil and I erase it and I move on, right? Yeah. But that was easy because every day I'd come in and the date of that I was on, I would just pull it out and that's who I have to call. There was no going into my system and looking at, okay, who's on my list of follow-ups today or anything like that. It wasn't a printout and then going to search for the sales lead. And like everything for me was, what's the fastest way to get this done? And not in a undetailed way. Like it was just, how do I organize my day to deliver the fastest? Like I really just need, and then that's where I would staple pieces of loose leaf paper into a manila folder, like just a regular folder, and all my notes, that would be my notes for that account. So what in essence would happen is when I would close a deal, you had all the notes from day one all the way to the close in that file folder. And that kind of became the customer folder or the customer Bible for that customer. So when we talked about customs broken, we talked about origins, destinations, like all of that was in there. And then what I would do is I would just hand that file to my team lead and say, okay, this is the customer folder. And we would go like all our rates, where we are with percentages. Are we too high? Are we too low? Like all of that was in the same thing. And I did it for ease. I did it because I'm a big ease of consumption guy. I love technology, but I also don't use it. And I guess I should justify that. So like the companies I was at, they had a sales system, right? The major company that I was at had a proprietary one, but none of my actual notes would be in that system because they'd all be in my actual manila folder, because that was, I'm always a paper guy, right? Like I love ebooks and stuff, but I also love paper books. Like the touching it tangible, like in my hand. So for me, it was always, how do I get it? And then not only that, above and beyond that, it was also, if I'm on the road, in Ontario where I live, and I don't know about Ohio, but Ontario where I live, like everything seems to be 45 minutes away. Like it could be literally 6 blocks, and with traffic, it's 45 minutes away. So it's, how do I stay productive in my day while
Yeah.
I'm traveling to meetings. Because if I was, call it 45 minutes out, an hour meeting, 45 minutes back, like we're talking 2.5 hours of my day of that
Yeah.
8 hour, 9 hour period where you're able to connect with people gone. So I had to be productive to and from, right? That's why
Yeah.
when I bought my present vehicle, it was because it had the technology where I can push a button and send an
You're
email while I
free.
drive.
Yeah.
I can push a button, I could text, I could push a button, I could call, like all that kind of stuff. And I got it before Apple CarPlay and all that and Android Auto were really taking off, where they were kind of like standard, right? But
Yeah.
again, it's that automation. So how do we automate our sales funnel? Um, and Keegan has come up with some pretty cool tools to do it. So I'll kind
Yes,
of
sir.
so how would you, where you are at right now, did you ever
Yeah.
automate any of your processes, or was it like manual every day when you came in?
I mean, it's manual. I just didn't have either the availability to. I didn't know of any programs. I mean, obviously CRM, HubSpot. Love HubSpot.
Yeah.
It's free. It gives you some cool functionality to really keep updated. But I like, yeah, the red. Man, I haven't seen that red one. They don't have that in here in Ohio anymore. I don't know why.
Oh, it's yummy. It's one of
They
my
brought
faves.
the yeah. That's one of my faves. They
The
brought the
tropical
watermelon.
one is awesome.
Oh, that one is the best.
Yeah.
But
Sorry, I
see,
didn't mean to
see,
interrupt you. I just, if
no, it's
anyone
okay.
from Monsters watching, I want to make sure that we're
Yeah,
getting them
if
out
anybody
there in order
sees,
to
come
get some
on, please reach
sponsorship. Yes,
out.
sir.
Oh, monster. No, but again, so CRM's obviously one way to do it. But with what Keegan has and what you kind of touched on and kind of shared with me, I mean, it's next level. But I mean, it's what we're going to today. I mean, think about it.
I think
You
so.
know, we used to call this a phone, and I heard Tony Robbins say it, but now it's a mini computer we're carrying around. I mean, it's not a phone. It's not just a
Well,
phone no
I
more.
remember Gary Vee
I mean,
saying this
and
has
so
more
it's made
power.
everything so easy, but
It,
it
it
makes it
does.
convenience and it's
Yeah.
fast.
But this has and I think it was Gary Vee who said it. This has more power
Oh yeah,
than the computers Ronald Reagan had to run the
yeah,
country, right? And
oh
and
yeah,
it's interesting because you look at HubSpot, for example, right? All of these sales systems, Salesforce, HubSpot, probably the two major ones in the market. They have integration with email and integration with everything. They got integrations
exactly.
where, I mean, you got to get technical and you got to know it. And here's the thing. One thing I've found, sorry, I don't even have the chat on, gentlemen. One thing I've found um, is really like so many salespeople use the system as a chore instead of a tool. And if I can share with like
I'm so
everyone
glad you
out there,
said that. I'm so glad you
hmm
said that. That yeah,
yeah, I mean, your system should be a tool in your arsenal. Whether it be organization tool, automated tool, so on and so forth, right? Ryan says, wow, on my to-do list today, the first thing is to automate my cadence touches in my sequences. So that's exactly what we're talking about today, Ryan, is how
yeah,
do we set these things? And sometimes you got to spend money. Like sometimes these tools, but I mean, you got things like Zapier, right? For all of you that don't know, Zapier is kind of like the old school. If I do this, will you do that scenario? Let me just see here what's going on because uh,
I have seen the Zapier, so I do know what you're talking about there. I've not
so
messed with that though.
so Zapier is actually pretty cool. And if you're on HubSpot, Zapier actually has a lot of integrations where you can say from HubSpot. Actually, Keegan's hopping on now, so it's perfect. So we'll get into
Okay,
that integration. But that's
yeah,
like one thing where you can integrate HubSpot. So HubSpot will say like, if a customer opens up an
yes,
email, then do this. And it was like the old school. I don't know if you remember a couple of probably a
okay,
decade ago. It was called if this then that.
yes,
So
yeah, yeah,
IFTH, right? If this then that. And so I use that really early on to automate my house, to actually help my house. So if I did this, this would happen,
yep,
right? And it was, sorry, not my house. What am I talking about? To automate my system. So if I did this, then put this note into G Suite or something,
yep,
right? And that was awesome because you do it once, and then if this,
And
then
then it
that picks it up and
automatically.
heads it over,
Yep.
right? So
Yep.
we'll bring Keegan in now. I don't, Keegan, if you can hear me, your video looks like it's not on. Oh, there we go, brother. There's the man right there. Keegan, how are you, brother?
Hey,
What's
You
going
know what?
on?
I got to
what's up,
apologize
man?
when we were slacking this morning. You said 8:30 to 9:30 Central, and I didn't even see the 8:30. I was like, I saw 8, and I'm like, oh yeah, 8 Central because it's 9 o'clock we go live, and then for an extra half hour after we're off. So I apologize, but that's totally my bad, man.
All good. We're here.
Yes, sir.
I work out early in the morning, so I saw that. I was just like, oh, I probably should get in front of the computer since he hasn't gotten in front of me. Hasn't gotten back to me. So yeah.
Sweet.
Well, hey,
So what
thanks
we
for
were
hopping
actually
on.
talking about was we were talking about the old school method of sales automation, and I know you got, you and I through our conversations, for everyone watching, listen, Keegan and I actually have a pretty cool tool coming out for y'all to automate your entire sales sequence, dropping next week. So keep an eye out for that. And Ryan, you might want to just jump on that instead of worrying about any of this automation crap. We've done it for you turnkey, my friend. But turnkey sales automation. So Keegan, talk to us about some of the stats you have that you want to share with us about the turnkey system that salespeople can put together, brother.
Yeah. So I come from the new school of sales, right? So I've been in the sales game and the software space, selling to old school people for years now, especially VPs of sales, CROs of 1,000 to 4,000 people companies. And the sales system today for a lot of these large orgs is broken. You have like hundreds of different reps doing their own thing, and if you're looking at from the top, you totally can tell that that's not scalable. And so how we work to make that scalable, and if you hear my puppy crying,
I hear your puppy.
that's
Yeah.
me giving him love. Sorry about that.
You got to show everybody the puppy before you
Yeah,
No
keep
worries.
going. You
Yeah,
got to
you
show
got,
everybody
you
the puppy.
got.
Wait till
You
y'all
gotta take
see
him
the
famous
eyes
now.
on this puppy.
Oh
Isn't
my
she just
goodness.
adorable?
Yeah,
Oh,
he is a handful,
pretty
but we
eyes.
love him.
He's a handful.
Oh,
Oh yeah, yeah. We just got a
oh,
puppy 2 nights ago, Keegan. So we got Stanley, a sister, and
so now
oh,
she's gonna be busy.
oh yeah, busy ends the word. Yep.
But from the bottom up, or from the top down, you can see that that's not scalable. And so what you need to do is basically take that best rep and replicate what they're doing. What are they doing in their calls? What are they doing in their emails? What words are they using? What are they doing in their social outreach? What are they doing in sending like mail? Right? Like, what specifically is that top rep doing, and how can we implement that to be scaled across the whole team? And that's what this automation system is. That's what I used to sell, right? I would sell the idea of take your best rep, take Brad or take Mark, and times him by your sales force of 100. How much more revenue would you produce in that quarter, in that month, in that week? And a lot of VPs were like, that's a good point. How do you do that? And it comes down to having a system of action that one can replicate that playbook, right? Like a sequence or cadence.
Yep.
And then but you can break it down to various different parts through various channels, right? Because we know that various channels works. And then going with really, if you're, especially for the B2B folks, reading out to new freight and trucking, okay, account-based selling now. It's not just about getting the VP of sales, but what about the VP of operations? What about the CRO? What about the COO? What about the CEO? Why don't we reach out to all of them at the same time with similar but slightly different playbooks that resonate with those personas? But let's automate 60% of that, right? A lot of people today are like, well, yeah, back in my day, I still open up a phone book, but now it's online and I just start calling. Okay, well, what do you do on day 3 or day 4 with those folks? I remind myself who's a target account to call. Well, how do you do that? I just based off of like the information I've gathered and just like kind of gut feeling. Well, let's remove that bias and let's literally go after these folks, right? With this engagement tool that literally shows you who's opening it, how many times, who's engaging, who's got a direct line or not. You start calling these folks. You can really call out like, hey, I know that you're looking at my stuff. So you're either the right guy to talk to or you know who the right guy is. All I'm trying to do is have a chance to make your life easier with my solution, right? Mm-hmm. And what we're finding with people that use this system, this playbook, is companies are able to right off the bat generate an increase in revenue within a quarter of 27 to 34%.
That's insane. I can say that
sales reps
Keegan
can
and
out to,
go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, no worries. Sales reps can reach out to about 150 people a week without them falling through the cracks. Because what you do is a lot of those first steps, like your calls are manuals, your first emails are manuals, and then the rest can be automated.
Wow.
You can have automation triggered based off of engagement. Like someone opens up your email 3 times, a call task queues up for you in that morning. Like, hey, the VP of Dunn Lumber, like the VP just opened this email 5 times. You got to call him now. He's hot.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Like remove these gut feelings. That VP that you had like in a low part of your list, like he's not going to be interested, is now interested. He becomes a priority because you have that insight. And so I myself have led 3 sales teams from scratch, building it out from 0 to 12, 0 to 18. And in 6 months using a tool like this, we generated 1.6 million in pipeline and closed about 300,000 in revenue.
See, those are great numbers. And, you know, I could say
Yeah.
when we've been testing the logistics and freight broker funnels, I guess, for lack of a better word, that we put together.
Mm-hmm.
And one thing that I really loved was the fact that I get an email in the morning and it says, hey, FYI, you got 34 calls to make today. And then you make those calls. And then the next day you get an email saying, hey, FYI, these 3 people opened your email 3 times in the last 12 hours. Call. I went, perfect. Okay. And then you call them. And it was like,
That's
you
awesome.
never have the, I'm not going to say fear, but did I call that person? Did that lead fall through the cracks? When was the last time I connected with that person? Because it's all automated through the sequence. You know, you go from LinkedIn over to another system, and you literally a few clicks, and you can literally hit go, and you put them into certain sequences. So you can put them into an email sequence, you can put them into a call sequence, you can put them into a hybrid sequence. Like there was so many cool things. I started messing around with this just to figure out what was happening, and like for me, that daily interaction of here's what happened, and then you go in and you look at the system and it says this person opened your email 3 times, and I'm like 3 times,
That's
like
crazy.
that's pretty cool, you know what I
That is.
mean? And I'm like,
Yeah.
wow, that worked. And then you know you call them and then you leave a voicemail and you just hit voicemail and it automatically says continue into sequence. So now your secondary follow-up email, your third follow-up email, and then they come back for another voicemail. To me, it's gold. To me, it's the way to go. You know,
Absolutely.
the entire ADD method of automate, delegate, delete,
That's right.
you know, frees us up. And you know, one of the biggest things that I look at this is my time is spent, especially if we formulate an introduction email that qualifies, right? My time is spent with people that are interested in the service that I have. And I think that's critical. You know, like yesterday, had a bunch of calls scheduled. The one call in the morning was from this system. And literally, I just took 126 people. That's it. And out of the 126 that I took, because I was kind of wanted to test it, the sequence in full. Out of the 126, I have 15 companies that are interested in the service. Now, to me, that number is astronomical compared to cold calls. And it's
Oh, yeah.
because I structured the email in the manner in which people reply, right? So it takes a lot of that I'm having a bad day out of it, if that makes sense, right? Like you ever have those days, DJ and Keegan, where you know you come into the office and it's like, I'm not there. You make a few sales calls and you're like bumbling and you're stuttering and you're kind of like, and you hang up the phone. You're like, man, that call sucked shit. Like that was horrible. And
Yep.
it's like I wish I could be on the top of my game every day, all day long. You know, you look at
Yes,
the
sir.
world of like Tony Robbins. You look at the world of the Bob Proctors. You look at the world of these major influencers. Their
Yep.
systems are fully automated.
Oh, totally.
They know what words convert. They, you know, you go to any sales page, you go to any company sales page. That
Yep.
sales page has heat maps on it. And I'm just kind of giving y'all an insight if you don't understand digital marketing. The back end of digital marketing, it's all done on heat maps. So
Yeah.
they know at what point of the page when you're scrolling that you X out. So what do? They go to that point of the page, and if 1,000 people are Xing out there and before the offer, they're saying, okay, we got to switch that side of the page. So it's that continuous testing. The challenge becomes, if we as salespeople have an off day, then 2 off days a week, 2 out of those 5 days, we're not testing at the highest rate possible, if that makes sense. So
Absolutely.
I love the fact that the younger generation is utilizing, and no offense, Keegan, I'm in my mid 40s, but you know what I'm saying? So the younger generation is utilizing technology to make things happen. And here's the thing. I hear a lot of people saying, oh, it's still the one-on-one touch. And I agree. But what if you can eliminate 80% of your, in my opinion, wasted time talking to voicemails, making phone calls, through a system that you might have to pay a little bit of money for every month, but what's that 80% of your time worth? And that's the way I look at it. And I can tell you, when Keegan and I were sitting down, we got introduced by Kyle Graves. Awesome, Kyle, if you're listening, brother, you're the man. Synergy Freight. And he said, listen, you guys got to get together because you both have something so valuable. And we did. And I can tell you, the meetings that I've set up, very possibly is going to generate close to $80,000 or $90,000 in revenue. And because of this way my system is set up, that's pretty much all profit. And so when you look at that ROI on my time, like literally I spent 0 time until it was, hey, I'm interested, let's book a meeting, or until it was, here's your follow-up call. Like, so, I connected with 150 or 126 different people. And while it was running, I'm following up with other pipelines, so it's like you have these. Now, the only thing that I did find with automation, one big kind of caveat that everybody needs to understand is, you might think, okay, well, I'm going to put 500 people a week into this automated funnel. Yeah. On week 2, when you got 1,000 people to call and you can't get around to a third of them, you're screwed. So just, you kind of do it in steps. And
it's casting a net, right? Like that's the beauty of the tools. You can reach out to 100 people, but it's not just an automation tool, it's an engagement tool. Right? You send it out to 100, like you see that 20 people have opened it up 2, 3, 5 times. What you then do is the system prioritizes like by your low-hanging fruit. Like these are the folks that you need to call first. So you went from no call tasks to, hey, here's 20 call tasks right off the bat because these folks are hot. Like you got a couple fish on the line. And that's the great thing about tools like this is it saves you your time and it pretty much eliminates the darkness of sales of like, who's engaging with my stuff, who's not, like who's paying attention, who's not. And you just said heat maps, right? Well, automation comes into play with the system that we actually use your own data of all the sends. If we had 300 people hooked up to this system, it would take the data from all 300 people sending their emails and it would find the best time for you to send your auto email. So it would auto send it at the best time based off of the recipient's not only open rate, but reply rate. So it's also using the data to make better, like actionable decisions on the automated front.
That's crazy.
Data is the new oil.
Absolutely.
Data is everything. And I mean, Keegan, you and I have had this conversation. Our industry, in order for us to fully understand our clients' shipping desires, needs, like, we had one of our inception calls last week. I said, okay, somebody give me a goal for a customer. And one of the students said, my customer wants to save $250,000 this year. I said, perfect. Where are they at now? And he goes, I don't know. I said, so then how are you going to save them 250? He goes, good call. What do I need to know? I said, here's your data set. Yeah. Once you have that data set, you can make much better decision. The fact that this system tells you, like my entire automated system through the platform I use says, hey, your best time for people opening emails is Saturday at 2 p.m.
Crazy.
Right? Like I have to pay attention to that. If I want people to open the emails, I have to pay attention. So this data tells you, like, I'll give you another data set that actually stunned me. I have more interaction with C-level employees between 9 and 11 p.m. than I ever do any other time. So now what do? I don't send emails out during the day. I send emails starting at 9:00 at night. I sit in bed
Yeah.
and I send emails for 2 hours. DJ knows that. He got a text from me last night at 11:30 saying, "Hey, da
Yes,
da da da."
sir.
Like it's just, but that's the time frame. But because of
Yeah.
that data that I
Yeah.
collected just by going, fuck it, try it, see what
One of
happens.
the thing you guys touched on that is so crucial is time. I mean, the thing
Mhm.
this does most importantly is it saves you time. This is how the super rich stay super rich. They figured out a way to automate their time. I mean,
Mhm.
Grant Cardone says it. The reason he bought a plane was not so he could say he had a plane. It was so he could get quicker to deals that were cost time.
Mhm.
The return on it is going to be the key. And if your return on investment is more than what and the value of your time, I mean, it's a no brainer.
The challenge is, DJ, what I'm finding anyways, is a lot of people in today's market are challenged with spending money.
Of
Like,
course,
and I look at it like this: is let's
because
say
money
you're
security.
well, let's say you're B2C, right? Business to consumer, which is what a lot of our process is. We're B2B, we're also B2C, right? People work for companies now, whether they're on commission, they're agents. It's like the perception is they work for this company. If you're a commission salesperson, you're the CEO of your own business,
Mhm.
right? On commission, because you don't work, you don't move a load this morning, you didn't make any money.
You're not making anything.
Your commission. So for me, I look at it and I say, if I had to spend $1,000, $5,000, $10,000 a month, and I got a 10 times ROI, I'd spend 100 grand a month
Hell yeah.
because I'm 10 times ROI. Like
Yeah.
I don't care as if the money's coming in, who cares? And it's like the same thing with, Keegan and I have had this conversation with like ads and stuff. People say, well, you spend $1,000 on ads and you make $2,000. How many people here would give me $1,000 if I gave them back two?
Well, I
Like,
could speak
oh,
for
Uh,
I could
are
speak
yeah,
the
for
are the
Kyle's company.
comments coming
yeah,
in now?
Like
yeah. You'd be
Kyle,
crazy not to,
Kyle's
right?
Yeah.
company,
Why
like
would you not?
they spent like Synergy Freight, like this tool, he spent thousands of it on all his sales reps. Which, by the way, if you sales reps wondering if you're gonna love it, all I hear from reviews is, "Oh my god, I love this tool! Like I'm gonna use it every day. It's a game changer." Right? He spent upfront costs for all this right at the bat. His team has already made that money back 4 times within the first quarter, so it's already paid
Wow.
for, and he made more profit from investing in it within the first quarter.
That's
I
awesome.
myself bought it for a team of 10, paid thousands of dollars for it through the company, right? Like I proved it as the manager, paid for thousands and thousands of dollars for mini seats for my sales reps. Within that quarter, we made $70,000 back from that investment. So the initial investment was around like, I think 15,000, and we ended up 15 to 20,000. We ended up making $70,000.
So
So we
you're almost 4 times ROI.
yeah,
Like,
off of
so
just
you put $1 in, you get $4 back. I
exactly
mean,
at a
to
minimum.
me, and again, I think the caveat here is, when Keegan comes back, I know you had some puppy issues there because you heard the puppy in the background. But I
Yeah,
think the caveat here is you got to use the tool, the system as a tool. It can't be
absolutely.
a chore. It's got to be that tool that you use in order to generate those results. But once you get in and learn it, and don't get me wrong, there's a learning curve. Like I remember when we had the NRDD show back in 2019 and 20, Nick Redstone, I decided to change systems. And I went from Kajabi to Kartra, which are two like automated page building sequence funnel
Yeah.
systems. And I'm telling you, it was like a 3-4 month learning curve, but the learning that like it capitalized huge on that learning curve. So like with every system you get, there's a learning curve. There's education, there's videos, there's training, there's making it work, and there's testing. But again, I think Keegan, you said it the best at the beginning. If you can take the top rep, and one of the things Keegan and I are doing is
Yeah.
every funnel we're actually going to give you the conversion rates, the open rates, and everything by the templates we're giving with this program. So you can say, okay, this one's 35% conversion. I'm going to use this one. And you're going to tweak it to you, which is going to take some education. But when you focus on that, and it's kind of like sales audibles, right? Any one of you that has a sales system, a sales funnel, whatever, if you are not calling audibles on every piece of that funnel and saying, okay, when I make 100 calls, I get 15 quality leads. Can I make the same 100 calls and get 25 quality leads? How do I do that? When I'm doing a follow-up between follow-up, if I'm following up and on my follow-up, or I have 100 people, I get 20 through the door and I'm closing 2. Where is that 18 company gap in my sales system, in my sales funnel, to help me close 10 instead of 2?
Yeah.
Because that is where you compound your time for the return on your investment. That it's critical to look at this. And every great salesperson, every person that this is their career and this is how they feed their family, pays attention to those parts. And that's where the data, and this is one of the beautiful things I love, Keegan, about the system we set up, is as more salespeople get there, all of that data combines, and we can actually, as close as we can, to perfect the sales funnel and go to our community and say, hey, everyone, this is what has happened. Like, using this template, when we've taken the best intro template, the best follow-up, the best double, and we start putting the pieces of the puzzle together to create the ultimate sales sequence for professional sales reps. Now, my question is, would you not pay $1 for that to get $3 back? I think the answer is yes. Everybody would do it. And that's the block that most people have is, well, this is going to cost $500 a month. Yeah, but if it makes you $2,000 a month, then spend $1,000 and make $4,000. Right? Like, hey, hello, right?
Yeah.
Like, to me, that's just a no-brainer, hands down, all the way. So again, Keegan and I will be releasing this. I think those stats that he said, Keegan, can you talk about the stats again before we close out for the day? Because I think, again, I want to leave y'all on this note that this is not a cost. This is an investment in your future when you automate your sales sequence as much as possible. Now, don't get me wrong. This isn't a, turn it on and leave it and pray to God people come through the door. There is manual part, but like Keegan said, if you can automate 60% of it, frees up 60% of that prospecting time for you to close deals, be in meetings, and do what you need to do. To me, that's amplified. We had a customer on in our inception call, and I asked one question. I said, how much more do you deal with today than you ever dealt with? You know what the answer was? 60% of their problems today were not problems 2 years ago. 60% of their time is spent on shit they never had to deal with 24 months ago. So imagine this for a second. 60% more problems. They didn't lose 60% of their daily tasks. So they've just added 60% to their day. So getting in front of them, getting that message delivered, getting that engagement is going to get even harder as this year goes. So why would you not let a system that doesn't complain, that doesn't take sick days, that does, you know what I mean? Like, come on, think about this for a second. God forbid you get, the vid, and you're in bed. Your system's like, dude, I don't care. I'm going, man.
Still going.
You know what I'm saying?
That's right.
Like, to me, I'm like, that's a no-brainer. I'm going away up from the 6th to the 11th. I guarantee you I'm connecting with customers when I'm away. And then all of a sudden it's like, beep, beep. Okay, hey guys, I got to pull over. Hey, yeah, meeting. We're good. You know what I'm saying? Like, and y'all might laugh, but so I'm going to duplicate myself, triple myself, quadruple myself. Yeah. And how do you do it? Automation. And I know, and again, I'm going to just debunk all this theory that, personalization, and I get that. And I understand that. That's why Keegan was very specific. That first email, maybe you send personalized and then you put the customer into the sequence. So you send 150 emails on a Monday morning. Now they're in a sequence for the next 12 days. Yep. And replies come in, and then you got to make a phone call. Replies come in. And whether it's no, fine, remove them from the sequence, It can all be done right here. Like, again, like we're talking, 2022 here. It's not 1991. It's 2022, and we can do a lot of things. How many times has DJ been in his car streaming to this? You know what I mean? Like, come on, man.
Yeah.
So, that was a lot of rambling on my end, man. I don't think I took a breath there, boys. So, Keegan, can you share some of those stats again on our way out?
Do you want to go over this?
Yeah. So, I mean, I want to talk about that too. You talked about like saving time, right? On average, where also the system comes in place is the follow-up, right? And the time it takes. So on average, you'll find, like I found on my team, I'll have anyone between 60 minutes to 2 hours saved from the, like, you don't need to log calls, you don't need to log emails, all that's done for you. As soon as you send those actions on any prospect, on any account you reach in within the system, you have the data right there, which is also the actions that have been taken on that account. So if you inherit an old account from a colleague, right, let's say people part or people move on or you get promoted, you can always see all that past historical data that's there, right? So you save time having all that auto-logged. You see anywhere between, on average, once you test your templates and gather that data, you see 80 to 100% open rates on these templates because you're fine-tuning until you finally get what's working. So a lot of the team, especially related to this industry, is seeing 83 to 100% open rates. Isn't that crazy? Because what you're doing is, it's not just the first email, it's the second or third email that auto bump it, that bring it back to the inbox, that make it so they have to read what you're saying.
And I'm actually, mine was 98.3% open rate.
It's crazy, right?
My
Like,
emails in this
where
system.
else are you going to get that? Because
no, my first email.
Really
first email, 98.3. And the reply rate, I think I was 67% reply rate. I mean, some of the stats we were getting on when we did our test were absolutely phenomenal. And there'll be more. Keegan and I will be releasing more about this in the very near future. And Keegan, we're going to have you back on again in the next couple of weeks, because what I'd like to do is take all of the logistics templates we've done on the multiple levels and share some of the stats and the results, because I think it'll be very, very important once the tests are done. Originally, we were looking at completing the test last Friday, but we've extended it out to next week just because we're getting some really cool results. And it's like, oh my, I want to get more. I want to get more. I want to get more. Yeah. So it's going to be pretty cool for all y'all watching.
Well, even your test alone, you were telling me after 1 week, you're like, yeah, I already booked like 3 appointments.
Yeah. Yeah. I had 3 appointments and I've booked 11 appointments since then.
Like 20 people.
Jesus.
Yeah. He just started like slowly and he was already getting results. So you're going to save time. You're going to be more diligent, and it's going to automate the follow-up for you, right? So it's saving you time. All the data is going to be there. All historical data if you inherit accounts or if things shift around at your organization. You're also going to see it triples your output, because it's like telling you that repeatable process of what best practices are, of like, the outreach via LinkedIn, the call, the email, the setting a meeting, follow-up tasks, etc. Right? Like, all that is going to triple your output, because a lot of that can be automated after you have those initial manual touches for like some personalization here to stand out, right? And then on top of that, you're going to see revenue that increases at minimum. I've literally have been in this space for 4 years now. I'm an admin on this, which means I've consulted on so many different companies that use this type of system and process. At minimum, you see a 25 to 27% increase in revenue within the first 90 days.
Wow.
It's crazy.
For wherever you're at today, all my team's the absolute best. I guarantee you, if I cloned your team and I gave them this system and I put them against your team, we would blow your team out of the water with our results. It's not fair anymore. It's just the data doesn't lie, and a process that has the data backed actions to like produce the results is always going to win. So you're going to save about an hour to 2 hours a day individually as a rep. All your logging, say no more to having to manual log anything ever again. And then thirdly, nothing's going to fall through the cracks, and you're going to get a 3x return on your investment at minimum.
Mm-hmm. And here's the thing where you said it's not fair anymore. It is fair if you're the one in the system. Right? If you're not, and you say, no, I'm good my old school way, I got this, then you're going to be like, damn, that's not fair. It's kind of like, two turbo sleds going at it, and the one doesn't have turbo. It's not fair. Well, you chose not to get turbo, man. Sorry, that's just what it is. But so DJ, pull us out of here, buddy. I don't know if you got a quote that's going to be able
I got one. I think I got
some of that stuff that we just talked about.
I think Keegan will love this one. But again, guys, subscribe and like if you're watching this after us being live. Please follow us. We're live Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. till 9:30. We try to get out by 9:30 Eastern Standard. So here's my quote for today. It's from Supply Chain Today. It is by Harish Sippy, and it's: automation is cost cutting by tightening the corners and not cutting them. No cutting corners, guys.
Corners and not cutting them. Nice. Have a good day, everybody.